All right. I am just making sure that everything is showing up here in the Facebook group for everyone. So Be Live has fixed stuff a little bit so where I can see your questions. So if you have a question during our interview today, please ask it and we will do our best to answer it. Cindy here is all about the systems and the organization and all that kind of fun stuff. So if you have any questions about that, please type them into the comments and we will see them and we will be able to answer them. Good. It looks like everything is showing up just fine. So we'll close that out. Perfect. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind Her Business show. A couple of things before we get into our interview that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I am starting to offer a new program over in my group. It's called the Business Incubator Program, and it's a 90-day program. Keep using the word program, but it's a program and it's 90 days long. And we go kind of through everything that you need. So it's kind of like one-on-one coaching, but with some extra bonuses, which I'll get to in a minute. So I have a basic course that I can take you through if you're kind of just getting started out, to where we talk about what kind of business you can start, what type of entrepreneur you are, so that you start the right kind of business that you don't end up regretting and it just turns into another job. And then we get into branding and marketing and social media and all that jazz. The cool parts about the branding incubator is no matter where you are, I provide complete branding services. So if you have a logo, that's great, but maybe you didn't get the whole colors and branding and mood board and all that, so we can tweak that. If you don't have a logo, we design that from scratch for you. So you end up with your branding and your tone and like how you talk to people, what kind of things you say, how personable you are, if you're luxe, if you're fun, if you're, athletic, like whatever business you're in, we tweak that branding to make it perfect for you. And then I can also design a website for you. And then we do one-on-one coaching calls every day. I'm sorry, not every day, every week, for that 90 days. And so instead of like these group programs that a lot of coaches are doing, that's like, here, you read this and we'll talk about it once a week for half an hour. I'm getting a lot more involved and in person because I love that one-on-one connection. So I love taking people from not knowing exactly what's going on, kind of having doubts, like having a lot of great ideas, but not knowing what to do with those, all the way into having this gorgeous business with perfect branding, with the bow on top, knowing exactly what to say and really feeling confident. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, you can head on over to mindherbusiness.com and it's right there on the homepage. You can dive right in and set up a discovery call for that. Now let's get on to the interview. So today's guest is Cindy Van Arnam of Business Operations Mastery. She's a speaker and accountability coach that helps online solopreneurs take responsibility for their business by helping them to create simple foundational practices that support sustainable growth and freedom. So Cindy, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, we're jazzed too. So the first question that I ask every single person that comes on the show is, what is your favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
Freedom, baby. I'm all about being able to do what I want when I want, and working from home allows me to do that. So that's super important to me.
I love that. So I really want to get into, your accountability coaching and what exactly these systems are that you have alluded to. But I like to talk about what people did before they started becoming an entrepreneur. So tell us your story.
Well, I think the question is, what didn't I do before I got here? It started when I was a kid. I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset, and my dad set me up for success on that. And he always told me, you have all this potential. You can do whatever you want to do. You have the intelligence to do it. And when I was 16 years old, he died suddenly. And I was completely broken at that point. I didn't know where I was going, and I made a decision to literally just stop living. That turned into a series of poor decisions like drug addiction, abusive relationships, and failed business after failed business after failed business. I even worked at a psychic hotline for a while. I did all sorts of things. I traveled, I floundered, I didn't know what I was doing. And then I decided one day, I was just like, you know what, this is it. I've got to figure something out. I was a bitter bartender and I was hating my life. So I decided it was time to switch. So I went back to college for event and promotions management. And as I was doing that, I realized that I had the skills to become a virtual assistant. From there, nothing but overwhelm because I got so many clients and I was doing all the things for everyone that I had no idea what was going on. And actually, it came down to the 20th anniversary of my father's death. I had helped plan the celebration that our family was going to have and get together for. And what happened was I chose not to go because I was so overwhelmed, and I made all these excuses in the book that my clients wouldn't understand why I was taking a weekend off. I didn't have time. I was too overwhelmed. I was too stressed out. I had so many things to do that I couldn't even go and celebrate with my family.
Wow.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking for me. And at that point, I was like, no, this needs to stop. I need to simplify, and I need to figure out what it is, why I'm here, and what I'm doing. And so after that, I created a set of systems that works like a charm, and I haven't had overwhelm since. So it's really been helpful for me.
Awesome. And so then you turn that set of systems that you developed for yourself, like kind of rolled that into, did you kind of start those with your VA clients, or you kind of created a whole new business and dropped everything?
Created a whole new business and didn't necessarily drop everything right away, but I transitioned a lot, and the last 4 months have been quite the ride as I rebrand, change everything, but now I am 100% clear on what I do and who I am.
Awesome. So let's talk about the whole concept of rebranding, because a lot of people get to a certain point in their lives where they're like, okay, I've been doing this, but I kind of want to do this, but I'm afraid to jump from one to the other because what if it doesn't work? Like, what was your thought process going into that rebrand?
Because I had so much clarity on who I was and how I wanted to show up in the world, that made the biggest difference. I knew I was the girl who could get shit done, but I didn't know what that looked like. And what it took was for me to actually really dial back and use a system that I use. It's called a creativity cleanse. And I literally got rid of all the crap in my head, like cleaning out the closet, and got really super clear on who I am as a person, because the way we show up in the world is our brand, in my opinion. And so my brand became who I am. Makes it a lot easier to put yourself out there when you don't have to fake it and pretend you're somebody you're not.
Yeah. So you're all about the brand is you and you are the brand, and there's no separation in between the two.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. So before we go any farther, you said two words that really intrigued me: creativity cleanse. Like, as a multi-potentialite, and I'm sure a lot of us struggle with this, where you have like 60 billion ideas and they're all good ideas, and like, what do you do with them all? I'm sure that's what your creativity cleanse is all about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How does that work?
Well, I have a freebie download. If anybody wants it, they can find it at my website, cindyvanarnam.com/creativity. It's just a simple 3-page PDF that explains the process. And when you enter your name and email address, you get a video that actually explains how to do it as well. But it's based off of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I just made it more fun because it's boring to do it the way he does it.
Tell it like it is.
Right, but it's a way where you sit down and you just write down all the things, because as an entrepreneur, there's all the things bouncing around in your head. If you don't write it down, it's forever going to be up there making a mess and cluttering things up. So if you get it all out on paper, then you use the 4 quadrants, which you will see on the PDF, to actually prioritize your tasks. So there's 4 quadrants. I call one the 911 quadrant. Like, get that shit done now, because it should have been done a month ago.
Yeah.
Once you start using this system repetitively, I do it once a week, the 911 quadrant disappears because you've prioritized everything. Then we've got the sanity saver quadrant. That's the stuff that needs to be delegated, systematized, or automated. Then you've got the just stop doing it quadrant. Those involve like scrolling through Facebook all day long, or Netflix binges. I'm all for a Netflix binge, but there's a time and a place for them. And then my favorite quadrant, the magic maker quadrant. That's where your visibility, your content, your marketing, putting yourself out there, that's where all that fun stuff happens. And that's the quadrant that you should spend 80% of your time in. So if you're focusing on that quadrant, the rest of it all falls into place.
Awesome. So that's cindyvanarnam.com/creativity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So the address is on the screen for those of you that are watching the show live. Otherwise, there will be a link in the podcast notes over at mindyourbusiness.com/podcast. All the links that we talk about will be over there, so you can grab those after the fact.
Awesome.
Cool. So that's awesome. So your title that you've kind of given yourself with this systems that you've set up, and kind of your business is an accountability coach. What exactly does an accountability coach do?
Well, I am on a mission to simplify the online business world. In my work with clients as a virtual assistant, as well as being an accountability coach, the biggest thing I've come across is that the technology is too complicated and they get overwhelmed and they don't end up sharing their message, which to me is a damn shame. Mm-hmm. So many solopreneurs have a message to share and have something important that they can impact the world in a positive way. And if they could just get over that block of the technology or the fear or whatever might be coming up for them, then they can move forward and have that impact on the world and create an income out of it. And so my job is to kick you in the ass and make sure you do it.
Awesome. And so you talked about these foundational practices that you kind of implement, and it sounds like that's the system that you were referring to earlier on when you were sharing your story. What are these foundational practices?
So the first one always is that creativity cleanse. I mean, I use it religiously week after week after week because the overwhelm still creeps up all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So if you keep going back to it and repeating it over and over again, that really helps. I'm really into building up rituals that suit your own lifestyle. So for me, I meditate, I do tarot cards, I do this creativity cleanse, but for everybody it might look different. So I work with each person to come up with a system that works specifically for them, because not every system works for every person. Mm-hmm. So the creativity cleanse works for everybody though, so that one's a no-brainer. Some sort of scheduling technique. I don't know what it might look like for each person, but there is a way to schedule that fits within everyone's lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And the next one is, I call it slapping the hand in the cookie jar. Avoid shiny object syndrome. It's all about just focusing in on what it is you really want and staying focused and not going over here and over there and, oh, I need that new shiny thing. No, you don't.
So that sounds super good, like no shiny object syndrome, but that sounds like it's way easier said than done. So what are some ways that you help people avoid like shiny object syndrome?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do have an accountability group where people come in. It's a pay what you want offer. So there is no set price on it. Whatever the value you think is in it, you pay me. We meet once a week and we talk about what your focus is and what your intention is for the week. That helps a lot, I find, with people. I think the biggest one is really truly understanding what your message is and who you are. Mm-hmm. If you have those two things, then shiny object syndrome kind of goes away if you have some support to help you, slap that once in a while.
Just constantly bringing that focus back to your why.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So one of the things that you also talk about a lot in your group is like content calendars and organization in that way. Talk to us more about what you teach there.
Yeah, so because I'm on a mission to simplify the online business world, I have 3 systems that I believe that every solopreneur needs and nothing else until you start scaling your business and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's content, it's a way to take calls, and it's a way to collect money. That's all you need. Your content includes marketing, blogging, Facebook Lives, your videos, whatever that might be. It's your visibility. You need to show up in order for people to know about you, right? So that content piece, I actually break it down, and I have a system that I do called Content is King, where I can help you plan out your content topics for an entire year, usually more. And then we set up a system that actually fits within your schedule so that you can create that content easily, without effort, without overwhelm, without stress, all that good stuff.
So I mean, I've tried to do these like long-term content calendars, and I always feel like, well, what if something happens in July and then I have to redo the whole calendar, and that there was a lot of work getting it set up in the first place. And like, how do you incorporate that, like wanting to be able to pivot quickly into planning so far in advance?
Absolutely. This was one of the things that came up when I created this system, because I'm also that kind of person that's like, but wait, Trump did something silly. We need to write about it.
Yeah.
I hope there's no Trump supporters out here. But what I did is created it so that it's content topics and not a content plan. So you can adjust, you can structure it in a way, you can move things around, you can be flexible with it so that if something does come up in the month of July that you're like, oh my God, I need to move things around, easy. You can move it around, no problem. Nothing is set in stone with this system, and it's a matter of just changing the due date on something.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you have two other systems then, the calls and the collect. Can you briefly talk about those parts of your system too?
Yeah, you bet. So calls is just having a way for people to schedule calls with you. The one thing I found, and this drives me crazy, is when people go back and forth in an email like 8 times trying to find a time that works.
Yeah.
Just use something like Calendly or Acuity. I use Acuity. Here's the link to schedule a call with me.
Yes.
Done.
You know, the other reason that I love Acuity so much, I use Acuity and Mind Your Business too, is that I work with people all around the world, right? And I suck at like, especially like people in Australia, like it's tomorrow there now. And like, that just, it scrambles my brain a little bit trying to figure that out. So
Right?
I just send them the calendar, like pick the time on there that works for you. And then I'll know what time it is for me. Like,
Exactly. It takes all that stress out because time zones mess with my head too. I don't do math.
Me neither. That's why I'm a graphic designer, like not a nuclear physicist, you know? Like, work with me, people.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So one of the big things that you have as part of your system also is the purpose is to help prevent burnout. So talk about how systems help with that.
Yeah, so I know it sounds weird, but systems actually set you up for freedom. If you don't have systems in place, you're constantly going to be in overwhelm. You're constantly going to be in emails responding to people when you don't need to be. You're not going to have things that are automated and systematized, so you're just going to be all over the map. If you have these very, very simple systems set up, and Acuity takes what, like 20 minutes to set up?
Yeah.
It's done, and you never have to think about it again, and that whole system becomes automated. So then the only thing you need to do is check your calendar in the morning and go, what am I doing today? It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I personally struggle with, and there must be a couple people at least out there like me, is like kind of this rebellion against system or feeling like pinned in by system, or that's why I'm doing this on my own so I don't have to deal with systems. So how do you like make systems fun and, you know, not feel like you're making all this list of rules that you have to deal with now?
Rules. Okay, well, first of all, I'm the biggest rule breaker there is. Definitely a rebel here too, so I get it, and that's why the systems that I use are, and they're fun because they are so flippin' simple. It's literally figure out a way that you can create consistent content. And however that looks for you, everybody is different. You just need to look at your schedule, what works for you, and come up with a way to just do it consistently. Even if that means maybe you're creating your whole month's content in one day at the beginning of the month. And then you're done. And then you have the whole month off. You don't have to create content. Or maybe you do it once a week. I personally do mine once a week. So it just depends on your personality and how you work. The Acuity, come on, it's 20 minutes. Just get over it and do it. And then a way to collect payment. I mean, PayPal. I use PayPal. You can use Stripe. There's other ways to collect payment. But so long as you have a way to collect money, then your systems are set. The rest of it is all extras, and you can hire that out. You don't have to do it yourself.
So talk to me a little bit, because you were saying like not being able to go to your father's celebration of life, and like you were so in your business and it was like taking over your entire life, and there was so much time you spent. Like looking back on it from like a realistic perspective, like how much of that was you just spinning your wheels and being quote unquote busy, and how much of it was you actually doing work, and how has this system helped you sort that out so you can like, you know, have a life again?
It was 100% me spinning my wheels and thinking I was busy. It was definitely all in my head. But creating these systems just made everything more streamlined. So I wasn't thinking about content creation every single day. I wasn't waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to write content in my head because I forgot to do it yesterday. It was all those little things that just cleared out that space. So then I was only creating content one day a week, and the rest of the time I was like, I don't have anything to do. Weird.
So we've talked about content quite a bit that, oh, you should create it, and here's an easy way to create it, and here's how you can plan ahead. But like, why the heck content so important to start with? Like, why should this be a priority for people?
Right. Well, I mean, the old saying goes, content is king, and everybody in the online space will tell you that you need to create content of some sort. It's about visibility. If you
Mm-hmm.
aren't creating some sort of content, and that doesn't necessarily mean a blog post, it could be Facebook Lives, it could be YouTube videos, it could be short little Facebook posts, whatever it might be. It just needs to show up online so that people can find you and they know what the hell you do. If you are sitting behind your computer screen and never putting content of some sort out, how will anybody ever know who you are or what you do?
So for somebody just kind of getting started in the early stages of their business, and they're like, okay, fine, I'm sold on this idea of content, but like, what do I do? Do I Instagram? Do I make YouTube videos? Do I go on Facebook Live? Do I write a bunch of blog posts? Like, how do I content?
Again, keep it simple. Do
Are
not.
there like better ways that you would advise them to pursue?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I would recommend to only start with one.
Hmm.
Do not try to repurpose all over the place because you'll end up doing mediocre content that won't get any traction. Only start with one and master it. Whatever that one is your choice. So that's where it comes into you need to know who you are and have clarity on what it is you do. And then maybe you love Facebook. Maybe you hang out in Facebook all day long and you love your Facebook groups. So maybe that's where you create your content. Maybe you are a pro at doing video, although most people aren't off the get-go, but I highly recommend video. And you just do Facebook Lives all the time. Or maybe you love to write. So maybe a blog post is the way to go. But that one's different for everybody. Whatever it is, just pick with one and start with that. Once you master that one, then you can move on to another one, or maybe start repurposing that one.
So basically kind of play to your strengths.
Absolutely.
Go in deep.
Absolutely. And always keep it simple.
Awesome.
You don't
I
need to
like
be
it.
on all 6 social media platforms.
Yeah. And so many people think that. So like just having that reiterated that you don't have to, like, I agree, like just get on one or two if you have to, and like really master those before you start adding in other stuff. Totally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like from a personal standpoint, I tried being on all 6 when I started. Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah.
And even now, I am starting back on Instagram, and I'm like, nope, this isn't working. Nope, like
Yeah.
I just want Facebook, and that's it. Like it's having more than one it's a bit overwhelming.
Well, the thing about it is like they're completely different animals. It's not like you're just taking your content from one and putting it on the other. Like there's a different attitude, there's a different market, there's a different energy that exists on each of them. And so you can't just cheat and throw it, like have your, Facebook stuff go on Twitter and it magically works. Like that stuff doesn't work at all. Like nobody
No.
just wants repurposed stuff. Like you have to actually legit do it, or you're kind of just wasting your time and spamming people almost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. People on different platforms, you might have the same follower on Facebook as you do on Twitter. If they see the same content, they're going to be like, yeah,
Yeah. Yawn.
try.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you teach them that they can start ignoring you somewhere, then they're more likely to start ignoring you everywhere.
Absolutely.
You don't want to train them in bad habits.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So speaking of blogs, you have a very interesting blog over there on your website, cindyvanarnam.com. And one of your latest articles that just kind of caught my eye, I'm like, I want her to talk about this a little bit more, not just read the article, but your blog post was called How Connecting with Your Anger Can Make You Better at Business. What the heck, woman?
Well, it's funny, that actually came from one of the speakers in my recent summit that I did, and I created a blog post about it because it blew my mind when I was interviewing her. What she said was, anger is an opportunity to change. And I was like, whoa, what? Because I can be really angry. I have anger issues sometimes, and it's been a journey learning how to deal with that and channel that anger towards something that's more positive. So when she was describing this, it was, when you have anger come up and frustration or irritability or anything like that, it means that something's not in alignment with what you're doing. Or somebody who's speaking to you that made you mad is saying something that's out of alignment with who you are. And so instead of just getting angry and not doing anything with it, you can just sit back and go, well, hold on a second. This is an opportunity to change. So I'm getting angry because this system isn't working or this process isn't working. Okay, so let's reframe it. Let's change it. Or that person made me mad, which isn't true. You're reacting to them. But this is an opportunity to maybe change the relationship or address the situation and say, you know what you just said is out of alignment with how I feel. And it gives you that opportunity to change.
Mm-hmm. Kind of might give you opportunity to like reset boundaries and stuff too, if it's between you and another person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I highly recommend that everyone check out Cindy's blog because it's a lot of fun and there's a lot of, you publish, it look like once a week. Is that true?
Yes. Once a week.
There? Yeah. So check it out. It looks fun.
Thanks.
So another thing that you're really, really getting into is public speaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
To talk to us about, like, first of all, when a lot of people think of public speaking, they think, oh my gosh, that's so scary. I don't want to do that. And yet you're like, yeah, let's do it. Like, why is it so important to you?
Yeah, I've had a call to be a speaker for a very, very long time. And I didn't really do anything about it in the past because I didn't have any clarity on who I was. In the last 6 months, I've really gotten clear on that. And I'm working with a business coach who's helping me figure out, it's called a spiritual blueprint, literally. And my spiritual blueprint literally says I need to speak. And as I was going through this training with her and reading through the document that she sent me, the call to speak just got stronger and stronger and stronger in my heart. And I just know that I'm supposed to talk. It's ingrained in who I am, literally. And I've done a lot of training on how to speak. I've just finished a 10-week course on, it's called Center Stage, about learning how to speak and present myself, how to tell my story, stuff like that. But it's something that's really deeply ingrained in who I am. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not everybody's meant to be a speaker.
Awesome. So if somebody is feeling that, like, I think that I'm supposed to speak or I have a desire that way, how would you advise them to get started?
Just start, figure it out, whether it's a Facebook Live or, I mean, speaking on a screen is still speaking. Mm-hmm. So with me, doing my first Facebook Live was terrifying.
Yeah.
I was so scared. And it took me probably 4 or 5 months to get up the nerve to do it. And then once I did it, I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. I need to do this every day. So just do it. That's really the only advice I can give you.
I had that same experience too. Like, I'm going to look horrible on video. I'm not going to know what to say. It's like I'm talking to a wall. Like, why would I ever want to do that? Yeah. But once you get started, like, and even if you don't get that, like, instant gratification, initial feedback, like, people go back and listen to your old videos and it can still help people, even if it's not helping people right this second, like, it can still make a huge difference in somebody's life a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, who knows? So you're like almost depriving the population of, you know, help and assistance and wisdom by just being afraid of putting it out there and like nobody shows up. Like eventually somebody's going to show up and you could be their like right person at the right time.
Absolutely. And this again goes back to my accountability piece. Several members of my group are trying to do their first Facebook Live. So I've literally made them schedule it. And I'm going to show up and be there for them and support them so that it's not just crickets, but they're going to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of just putting yourself out there. And like you said, that one piece, you know, you have a message to share and a story that could help, even if you only help one person. That one person's life is impacted in a positive way. Mm-hmm. So you're actually being selfish by not sharing your message.
Yeah. And, you know, you kind of just brought up something that you do for your people that other people could kind of start doing for themselves is that you show up for your people's first Facebook Live. And if you're out there and you're like, I want to start, but I don't know how, like maybe if you schedule it and then invite some of your friends just so it is that you're actually talking to a people. Because I think that's what makes it, I had such an easier time doing interviews because there's somebody there that I'm talking to. Yeah, a lot of people out there are listening and I try and structure the conversation so that it's helpful. But a lot of it is really just you and me talking and sharing knowledge. to where if you structure your first Facebook Live, so it's more like that, like you're sharing with your friends or sharing with people from a accountability group you're in Facebook, it might make it a little easier to get started. So it might be something worth trying.
Absolutely. I know for my first one, I told a whole bunch of people when I was going live so that they would show up. I think I had 2 people actually show up, but those 2 people made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, totally. Try that. All right. So another kind of almost it ties in with the speaking thing that you do is you just did an online summit.
Yes.
So tell us about what happened there.
Oh my God. This was just some download I had in the shower that I was like, I need to do this. I still had shampoo in my hair and I had to get out and write it down. It was just one of those ideas that bangs into your head and you're just like, this is it. It was called The Universal Guide to Being a Well-Balanced Solopreneur. I know that's quite the mouthful. But my whole focus here was because being an online solopreneur, number one, it feels really lonely. And number two, it's really hard to keep that balance because many of us are stay-at-home moms. Many of us have a partner or spouse that we have to explain what we're doing because some of them just don't get it.
Or you feel the need to justify too, like,
absolutely.
I'm doing a thing.
I don't even explain it anymore. I'm just like, yeah, I'm doing this, whatever. But I found what I really wanted to do was build a community of solopreneurs that where we could talk about all of the things, not just marketing and how to do business and the legal standpoint behind doing business, but also how to remain connected to your family instead of just throwing an iPad at your kids when you need to get something done, all those things. I had speakers come in and talk about the importance of values. I even had somebody come in and talk about event planning because what is an online summit or a launch or anything like that but an event? Right? Mm-hmm. So it was really good to have all those people. I had 19 different speakers, I believe, in the summit. It was a lot of fun.
So can people get access to that summit now? Do you have it like saved somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a Facebook group. The link to join is cindyvanarnam.com/universal-guide.
Cool.
And the replays, the summit ended on April 21st, but I left the replays up for free until May 11th. So you have until Friday to catch them. However, I had so much fun doing the interviews that I have extended it, and I'm doing an extended interview series. So there's about 2 to 3 interviews every week from now until infinity.
Awesome. So jump on there and you can at least catch something good, even if you're listening to this after the fact.
Absolutely.
Good deal.
I'm a firm believer in not killing a good thing. So
yeah, for sure. So let's kind of switch gears a little because we talked about your business and what you do, and then let's talk about more the business side of doing business. Mm-hmm. So how did you end up getting your first clients when you decided you wanted to start working for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my first virtual assistant client was through Upwork or something like that. I don't even remember. That was so long ago. But when I graduated out of college, part of our curriculum was to actually volunteer at events. And it counted for marks in college. Mm-hmm. And so I really got into the whole volunteering thing. And this lady, her name is Chantel Adams, was running an event called Shine Live. And it was in my area, and there was 150 people of my target audience in the room. I'm like, I need to be in that room somehow, some way. So I volunteered. She found out what I was attempting to do, and she's like, oh my God, you're in. She gave me the easiest job at the event and let me just be in the room. She even gave me a shout out from the stage.
Wow,
So
nice.
All these women were looking for virtual assistant help. And so I walked out of that room with 5 clients. And from that, my business just grew and grew and grew. So
awesome. So it's kind of like you decide what you're doing and then just make efforts to put yourself in the right places and kind of let the universe take care of the rest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So what do you do now as far as marketing your business? We're not doing virtual assisting so much anymore. So what are you doing to market your current business?
Well, all of my old VA clients love me, and so they give me referrals. Many of them have hired me for my new services because they see the value in them. I don't really market myself, to be honest. The summit marketed, like, I had more people join after the summit started than I did beforehand. because people were coming in and seeing the videos, watching the interviews, and saw the value in it, and then they shared it with all their friends, and then they shared it with all their friends. So I had more people join after the start of the summit than leading up to it. And I just provide value. That's all I do. And I talk in a language that people get, and I'm personable, and people just come to me. I don't market per se.
So it's just kind of that consistent content production, and that's kind of your marketing strategy, is constantly putting yourself out there. It's more of attraction-based marketing. Absolutely. Where people see you and they're like, oh yeah, that resonates. Let's do something.
Absolutely. And I don't want to use the old school marketing tactics that are all part of the old boys club out there. I am very much into being authentic, being who I am. And if people like that, they will come to me. If they don't like it, then that's fine. We don't need to be friends. It's okay.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I really want to get into it with you about like your tone, because you like in your branding have swear words, and you like, you know, you're very real and raw. And like you said, like that can turn off a lot of people, but can also like really resonate, like, oh my gosh, she's so authentic. So how do you balance that? And why did you decide to go that direction in your marketing?
Yeah. So when I first started, I was trying to do it the way everybody else told me to do it. And that was so out of alignment for me. It felt gross. And with this whole new rebrand and my new services, it was really important to me that I stay true to who I am at all times. So yeah, there's the odd F-bomb on my website. If you don't like it, I don't care. If you don't like the term get shit done, then go somewhere else and get stuff done. It's fine. It allows me to show up who I am and show my passion for the work that I do and actually help people. If I put on a face and pretend to be somebody I'm not going to be able to help anybody, because I'm so focused on this mask that I've put on. Instead, I'm just going to show up, be raw, be real, be me, and then I can support the people that resonate with that.
Mm-hmm. I really like that thought. And I just kind of want to bang on that for a minute of like, if you have this fake personality or this quote unquote brand that you're standing behind and it's not authentic to who you are, then there is a lot of energy invested to like saying the right thing. And does this work for the brand and whatever, like having that authenticity, like you said, just makes it so much easier. And you don't have a wall between you and your clients. It's just you and your clients at that point.
Yep. Absolutely. And you don't wait before you hop on a client call. You don't have to go, okay, now what am I going to say? No, you just hop on the call and be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. How's it going? Awesome. I love that. That's super cool. So what plans does Cindy Van Arnam have in the future? What are you working towards?
Well, speaking is my number one thing. My intention for my business and where I'm going in the next few years is to speak and to empower others to have a positive impact on the world, whatever that might look like. So I am all about helping solopreneurs get their message out into the world in whatever way looks good for them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I like to end every interview with kind of having you share kind of your favorite tips and tricks and advice, like stuff you wish you would have known starting out or things that you can't live without in your business now. Like, what would you share with people?
Well, I can't live without Facebook. I think the biggest piece of advice is to just get really clear on who you are and who you stand for. And once you figure out who you are and what you stand for, you can show up in the world and support other people. You can, it's just being really, really clear on that and believing in yourself that that message that you have to share is important. It could impact. And even if it only impacts one person, that's one person that you've helped change their life. That's huge. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And the second one, do the creativity cleanse. Hello. That one's just a no-brainer for me. I use it weekly. I believe everybody should use it. My clients use it every week. It just makes your life so much easier.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing. Tell us where we can find more about you online.
Absolutely. So my website is cindyvanarnam.com. I also have the Facebook group, which you can right now join it through that link that I shared, the Universal Guide. It will be opening up to the public after May 11th, though. So that is the Universal Guide to Being a Well-Balanced Solopreneur. And I'm on Facebook all over the place as Cindy Van Arnam.
Perfect. So we will link to all of those places at mindyourbusiness.com/podcast. You don't have to worry about scrambling to find a piece of paper, and you can go and find her online summit and her website and read her crazy cool blog and just get real with Cindy. So thank you so much for coming on the program today.
Thank you. It was so much fun. I love it.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.